Hey guys, in day number 4, this one's a little different because I'm going to do chapter 15 and then 18. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, what about 16 and 17? Well, don't get me wrong, 16 and 17 are great, but it talks a lot about the political situation there. And while we can read that, and I still encourage you to read that because you can draw the arguments and the persuasion and the political from that and liken it to our day a whole bunch. Very quite clearly, actually, just how the ugliness of it and the deception and the fact that the king of the time didn't listen to Christ and it went really bad for him. So, although you might think you're this all-powerful leader, yeah, still be Christ-led. Yes. Anyway, so I'm going to do 15 and 18. So this is to seek and know the keeper of the vineyard. So, describing the redeeming power of Christ, Isaiah puts in a parable form about a vineyard, which Nephi then relates, of course. And what would you draw from this? So you have a look at chapter 15 specifically talks about the keeper of the vineyard or in the vineyard. So in verse 2, well, verse 1 is lovely, let's read that too. It says, "And then I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved, touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill." This is Isaiah talking about Christ. "Then I will sing to my well-beloved Christ a song of him, touching his vineyard," or his plan. My well-beloved Christ hath a plan in a very fruitful place. I'm like, thanks. I needed that. Anyway, and it says here, because this whole chapter is to know the keeper of the vineyard. Get to know Christ. It says, "He fenced it, gathered the stones thereof, planted it with the choicest vine, built a tower in the midst of it, made a winepress therein." He provided everything for good grapes to come. Because he's talking about grapes and vineyards. Again, the people of that area knew what that was. They understood it. If you were here in New Zealand, we may even talk about kiwi fruit. If you're over in, well, actually around here, probably tomatoes. Be tomatoes and tomato vines. That's what's local around here. There's a whole hill devoted to just tomato farms. It's huge. It's where most of the tomatoes in the whole of New Zealand come from. The exported ones and everything are in this region. So you're going to go with what's local. But yeah, he gave him every chance, put the best stuff in there, and it still got thrown back at him. I read that in verse 12, "And the harp and the viol and the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feast, so they taken all the things that you've given, but they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands." They take all the gifts and say, "Yeah, but we don't want you." Yeah. Of course, verse 20, because it's one of my favourites, and it's said several times through scriptures, but I love this. "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." I know people that do this, and I try and stay away from them. I don't like people that call evil good and then take something that is good and call it evil. Make it into something that's not. That includes TV programs. Yes, that's sad. So, sorry, car starting up out there. But what do you draw from this whole thing? Have you read this parable of this vineyard? What do you draw from it? In verse 12 it said, "Many don't care." They don't regard Christ. They want all his gifts, but they don't want to know him. "The work of the Lord, yet partake of his gifts." Don't be this. You're going to partake of the gifts? Know the gift giver. Going to work out a lot better for you. You're going to appreciate those gifts a whole lot more if you know where they come from and how they got to you and why. You're going to appreciate them a whole lot more, and they're going to work for you a whole lot better. It's not just going to be a thing anymore. It's going to become part of your life, and it's beautiful. Verse 26 is great. I do love this too. So it's talking about all of this going to happen, and he's going to burn it down, and it's going to be a mess, and the anger's there. But then it says this is the hope of it, and this is where I would love to fall in the category of people, and we can because we're in that day and age. So let's aim for this. "And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from afar, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth, and behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. None shall be weary or stumble among them." He talks about they won't sleep or slumber. They've got sharp arrows, and they're ready to fire them. "Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, their wheels like a whirlwind, they're roaring like a lion. And 29, they shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry away safe, and none shall deliver. It's talking about the gathering of Israel. And we're in that. President Nelson has told us we're in that. Here and on the other side of the veil. So, are you one that comes with speed swiftly? Do you roar like a young lion? I hope I do. I hope I keep talking and don't shut up about Christ anyway. I'm not going to. I'm going to keep talking about it. If somebody's wanting to know that, do I turn up or do I take my time? No. And I talk about it all the time. When it comes to gathering Zion, I'm trying to do everything I can with speed swiftly. Because I don't know how long I've got. None of us do. You know, we could do all the temple work in the world. It's no use if the temples aren't open because we're in another lockdown for something, right? That COVID really hit like nothing else before, and I think it was a wake-up call to me to work more on that. Because I thought I was, oh yeah, I'm gathering Zion. And I'm like, no, not really. I was kinda, but could do a whole lot more. So that was a big wake-up call to me. I've done a whole lot more since then, and probably every year gets more and more. So it's pretty cool. 18 is a couple of pages over. And talks about seeking the Lord, not peeping wizards, which always amused me. Like, what is that talking about? But this is really talking about thinking celestial. So 13 to 14, your relationship with Christ will determine your fear or joy of in Christ. So when you read that in 13 or 14, which says, sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offence to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. As in, he can be a sanctuary. It can also be a place that you're not going to want to go to, depending on your relationship with him. Because he could be the most fantastic person in the world, but if you don't have a good relationship, it's not something you're going to want to be around. So your relationship with Christ will determine your fear or joy of and in Christ, which makes sense. So when people talk about a Christ that they're scared of and that's harsh and, like Laman and Lemuel were doing, he talks as hard things and he wants us to do this and do that. And it's like, yeah, but he's there with you and he'll help you, which is what Nephi said. They didn't see it that way. So again, the relationship with Christ determined how his words are going to be taken, how his teachings are taken, how the whole thing is. So what camp are you falling into? Yeah. 17, I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. That is thinking celestial. Go looking for Christ. Seek him out. We see that over in verse 2 of chapter 19 as well. People that walk in darkness have seen a great light. They will dwell in the land of the shadow of death, and upon them hath the light shined. It's just some wonderful things in there, but we're going to talk about that in the next one. But, yeah, verse 22, that was the other one. Verse 22 of chapter 18. And they shall look unto the earth and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and shall be driven to darkness. That is thinking celestial. There's no hope in Christ there. They don't have the relationship with him. There's no hope. They don't know of him. They don't know of his teachings. It's a dark and dingy place. So, know the keeper of the vineyard and his redemptive plan. Why is this so important that Isaiah would write it? To Nephi's time and to our time. Drop in the comments, let us know. Why is it so important then and now to know the keeper of the vineyard and his redemptive plan? What's about it? It's been talked about, but I want to hear from you. So, comments. Alright, hang around. We're going to go over to chapter 19. I'll see you there.